Welcome back once again, everybody, to a new Cedar Flags. In this one, we're really only doing one small project, and that is this flat ride we're placing down here, as you can probably tell already. Yes, this episode is not as large as some of the other ones, but we are getting more. We're working now toward getting that POV cinematic shot down for our roller coaster that's been in the making for quite a while now. I'm lagging behind on that. I still haven't even made like the sign graphics for that ride yet. I don't know what I'm gonna do for that, but I think in the next couple videos that I put out here, one of them is going to be that cinematic POV of our beautiful new roller coaster. So yes, that's kind of this ride is kind of really all I wanted in that. And when I say that, when I go ahead and make those cinematic POV videos, if it's like a part of the park where it's not really been built around yet, which most of the things that we've been doing are like that. We aren't really going back into parks that are already built and modifying stuff. So I like to see a little bit of something going on around the ride throughout the POV video. So now that we have the hotel in the background and now that we have this flat ride going in, you're going to be able to see those as you go over that first hill, and it's going to make the park look a lot more legitimate when we go ahead and make that cinematic video. So that's why it's taken so long for that to come out. And yeah, I mean, that's one of those projects that I have to work on in the upcoming weeks here. But what we've been doing so far is basically just we placed the ride down here, and I believe it's called Forge. The Forge? Something like the Forge in the game. And I'm just trying to think, because we had Copper Forge as our roller coaster name, so I feel like now that might be too many forges going on. I really don't know what the deal is. But yeah, we placed the ride down, and we did a little bit of work around this queue, winding it through this little hillside here. I didn't really want to go super crazy with this build because I don't know, it's just a flat ride over here. But it is really cool to see the first thing you walk in that second entrance. So this ride is actually fairly cool to look at from a distance. It like lifts the riders, spins them around, and kind of flips them upside down on these giant claws. So it's kind of cool, and it's very visually stunning from a distance. So it's a really nice thing to put in here. And yeah, it's just one of those things to fill out space, but I really didn't want to have to build anything super, you know, huge or built up around it. So we're really refining what we're doing here, and we're scaling it back basically just to some of the foliage work and landscaping around it. That's not to say we aren't taking influence from the Copper Forge coaster building. So as you can see, we pulled some of the colors over, and we're actually going to be using some of the parts that we used on that building over here to make something that looks like it's tied in, because even though this isn't like technically part of the roller coaster, it's still within that same plaza. So I really wanted to tie all of that together a little bit. So yes, as you can see, we're going over and we pulled over a couple of the brick columns. We're going to be using this around the base because we need to cover up that really ugly red default base that they give us when we lift the flat rides up a little bit. So we're covering that up with these columns, and it turns out pretty cool. It's very, very minimal. It's not all that challenging to make this, but it looks really cool in the end. So I'm really happy with it. I actually had a couple people in the live chat. I did all of this building for this episode on the Twitch channel. I had a few people over there telling me that it looks a lot like, almost like a gear, like in a really abstract way. And that really is kind of true, and it's kind of cool because this whole area that we've been working on in the park, the past few rides that we've been doing over here are fairly geared toward industrial theming. So having a little bit of a gear influence, or I think to me it looked almost like a wall that you'd see over some water or something too, a retaining wall or something like that. That all lends itself to the theming around here. So I love that this plaza in the end, and you'll see that when we go over into the live portion of this video, this plaza all looks like it's fairly connected in a way, even though between this ride and the roller coaster there really aren't that many, or it's not like visually connected. There's a big break because we got a big tree line in the way, but as you walk around, you kind of can even subliminally see this is kind of all the same thing. It's the same feel, and really that's why we picked this ride down here. it looked like an industrial styled ride. It's very raw. You can see just all of the mechanics of it, and as it goes up, it looks really cool. So yeah, that's pretty much the logic behind this whole thing. You actually kind of just saw it going and spinning there for a while. We did have to tweak some of the landscaping that we already had down here. Really bring back some of that brick wall. That was always kind of the plan. And then, of course, expand some of the landscape, take some of the trees out, trying to get a little bit of influence from the hotel as well, because we've been slowly introducing new bushes and stuff throughout the park. So I've really been trying to go back and pull anything new and kind of blend it in. I know I've talked about that a while, but yeah, we took some of the trees around that area out because we wanted to make sure that our passengers weren't going to hit any of those. That would be bad. Our legal department would not have a fun time with that. But yeah, as you can kind of see here and there, this ride is really I think one of the first things you're going to see as you walk in that second entrance to the park. So it's really cool. It's almost like a statement ride. It looks really awesome. And you're gonna see we're gonna struggle with trying to get the sign put together after we get these lower planters put together here. I actually was trying to use the columns that we built around the base, and then I would swap them and pull them out, or do the advanced duplicate, and then you can change the piece that you're using after you do that. So as you can see, I'm building completely underground here for a little while, and then we're eventually going to pull that all the way up and then basically use that because it gave us the general shape that we had been working with for the base. So yeah, just having that made it a little bit easier. I didn't have to necessarily freehand that then, and it was kind of nice. But the logic to what we're doing down here is we're using the same color scheme, the same planters that we had going on up by the roller coasters building over there, and we're actually going to bring the same flowers down here. So yeah, as you can kind of see, and as I was talking about a little bit earlier, this all kind of flows together and is all one big plaza back here. So it's pretty cool. I'm really honestly not sure what the next build is going to be for the park. So if you guys want to see anything, I know I get a lot of requests for a kiddie coaster. I do have that in the plans. And okay, this ride is called Forge. So maybe we want to change the name of the roller coaster. It might be, I guess it's not too late to do that, but having this called Forge is kind of weird. But yeah, I've had a lot of people recommending to do a kids coaster in the park. I do plan on doing that. We might do that next. I'm not really sure. And then there's a few other bigger builds that we need to do. We still need to do the second of the train stations down here, and that is in this area as well. We have to build out this entire like seaside place that we have. I guess I'll talk a little bit about this in the live portion, but yeah, what we're doing right now is basically wrapping up this build, adding a couple more of these planters around the area to try to bring this all together. We had the queue over here, the queue entrance, and I really wanted to make sure that people would understand that this queue entrance is for this ride. So I'm trying to keep the styling around it pretty much the same, so you see the planters at the same thing. And of course, we're actually going to duplicate this sign over and put that right next to the queue entrance. So if there was any confusion before, it's hopefully cleared up now for any of the guests. I will talk a little bit about this sign. It is awful. I hate it, but it's easy because it's already in the game. Yeah, it's a really terrible looking sign, and I feel like the colors are screwed up on it for some reason right now, and I don't know if it's just my game or something. I doubt it would be that. I think one of the updates may have messed up the sign or something, but yeah, it's just completely black on the background, and then the lettering is just so vibrantly bright, and it's really gross. And I feel like there should be more to it because there are outlines for like a hammer and an anvil on there. I feel like the colors are just really screwed up on that. But enough about that. You're seeing a little bit of the pathing that we had to do. I'm actually very happy with how the paths came out for this build. It actually worked pretty well. I used that trick here and there to try to widen or gently slope some of the intersections, and it worked really well. And when you go into a project in Planet Coaster and you're like, I need this path to do this, and you somehow get that to work, it's always an awesome feeling. because we all know how frustrating the pathing system can be. But yeah, around here, it looks pretty good. It's pretty nice. Using that trick that I've been using for a little while now, where we're just using some planters to cover up any of the areas that the path wasn't hitting. And you're seeing the last thing that we have to do in this episode, and that is to bring a sign over to this back entrance. Now, I'm not going to say I'm disappointed in you guys, but no one actually pointed this out, I think. And if you did, I'm sorry I didn't see that comment. But yeah, we never had an actual, like, Cedar Flags park entrance type sign back here. So yeah, we had to pull that over. Of course, we just duplicated what we had before at the front of the park, pulled it back here, and we're just setting it up on the back side here. We needed a little bit of a structural situation back here. I think on the front of the park, it actually goes in front of another like wall, so it's just tied into the wall. But back here, it's a little more free-formed, and it's just freestanding, so a little bit of structure, and then we're just trying to center it up. And then on the back of this sign, we're going to go ahead and use our favorite little custom letters to spell out something for our guests as they're leaving. And this actually took a little while because I really didn't know what I wanted to say. I wanted to say thank you for coming, see you again soon, but that was going to take too many things, so we just cut it back to see you again soon. We thought maybe that was a good thing, like, yes, you're leaving, but we know you're coming back. So it's just a good message to put back here. And yeah, that's gonna be pretty much it for this time lapse. Let's go ahead and sneak into the live portion. I'll show you guys what we did, and I'll talk a little bit more about what we're doing in the next few episodes. All right, guys, we are live back here in Cedar Flags. We're looking at the back entrance of the park, and as you can see, we have our beautiful new sign. Well, it's not technically new, it's just the same one that we had up front, but it is back here now. And yeah, it looks great. And of course, behind that, you can see, if we go through the entrance here, that new ride. It is imposing and it is awesome. And you can see Forge right here, ready to go. So yep, this is the first thing you're really gonna see when you get into the back. And right behind that, you're gonna see that awesome inverted coaster that we have. But yeah, I do wanna talk a little bit about this sign because it is just terrible. It is so bad. And I think it's just broken. And if anyone knows anything about this, let me know in the comments below. Yeah, it looks like there's like an outline. I'm not even sure if you're gonna be able to see this on YouTube, but there looks like there's an anvil back down here and then a hammer, and it looks like there was supposed to be like a black border around it, and then these were supposed to be colored something different, and they're not, and it just looks really, really bad. And I think from a technical perspective, as a, well, now former sign maker, these letters are just far too chunky. You know, these should have been like half the thickness, because you really lose like that middle of the R, you lose that as you turn. And if the camera wanted to cooperate, I could have shown you that. But yeah, as you turn, you really lose that definition in the characters just because they're so thick. But yeah, beside that, this build was simple. This build was easy, and well, fairly easy. But it accomplishes a lot. So now that we have most of this done, we're going to be able to make the cinematic ride video for our coaster, and it's going to look great as you drop down that first hill. You're going to see this. We may want to do something in here before we do that video. That is probably going to be a little bit more important as well. So maybe we're one or two builds off from that video. I know it's highly anticipated. I love this coaster. It's probably my favorite in the park. But yeah, we have a little ways to go. I could just throw trees in there, but it just wouldn't look as good. So now that I'm thinking about it, that'll probably be our next video. Some little build in here. I'm not entirely sure what we want to do. We were thinking about potentially doing like a coaster up through here as well. So we're probably going to want to put a little plaza in here for maybe some sort of shops. That's probably a good idea. But moving forward past that, we're going to need to do our second train station in the back of the park, connect all that up, and then we were always planning on doing something over here. I really want to do like a stage that faces out into the water, and then like the observation tower ride I think will be really cool to have in there. In here, it's highly requested that we do some sort of kiddie coaster in the park, and this is, I think, where I want to do that. Maybe we'll have a little kid zone in here that'll be kind of fun to build as well. And then past that, we have maybe 1 or 2 more major coasters. And then I think that's going to be basically it for the park at this point. And like I said, we'll always be able to come back into this park and build something here and there if we're bored moving forward after the series is quote unquote done. So yeah, this is a small build and it was a necessary step, but hope you guys liked it. Go ahead and hit that thumbs up button if you did, thumbs down if you disliked it. If you have any suggestions moving forward, what you want to see in the next couple videos here, let me know in the comments. And I want to extend a huge thanks to my new patrons. You guys are awesome and I love you guys so much. If you want to check out how to support the channel, all of the links are down below in the description. So guys, until next time, I'll see you back here in Cedar Flags.